The judge looked directly at the evidence and asked the one question Blake Lively never wanted to hear. Was any of this actually real? The narrative that has dominated headlines for months just hit a legal brick wall that nobody saw coming. Suddenly, the accusations that defined the biggest movie of the summer are being dismantled in a courtroom. It is messy, it is layered, and the energy has completely shifted. Blake Lively is officially on the defensive as the shocking news breaks that her version of events might be built on a foundation of sand. The silence from her camp is deafening as the legal tide turns in a way that could change her career forever. Imagine waking up on your birthday thinking you are in control, only to find out the court is questioning your entire reality. That is the vibe right now surrounding Blake Lively and the ongoing fallout with Justin Baldoni. Up until this very moment, the story we were sold was simple. Blake was the victim of a coordinated takedown, but the judge just looked at the filings and basically asked if there was even a smear campaign to begin with. This is not just a minor setback, it is a total cracking of the narrative. When a judge starts doubting the existence of the very harassment you claimed, the public perception starts to melt away instantly. The shift in the room was palpable when the judge signaled that the evidence for harassment simply was not there. For months, we have heard whispers of behind-the-scenes drama and toxic environments, but the court needs more than whispers. They need proof. And right now, the judge is saying that the solid evidence of a smear campaign against Blake is non-existent. This is a massive win for Justin Baldoni because it changes him from the villain of the story back into a professional who was just doing his job. If the core of your argument is dismissed by the court, where do you even go from there? The pressure is mounting, but the blows didn't stop with the judge's skepticism. Justin Baldoni just secured another major victory that has left Blake's legal team scrambling for a new strategy. It all started when Blake's side decided to drop a massive document dump right before a major deadline. We are talking about 1,000 pages of documents and a witness list with over 40 names. It looked like a classic move to overwhelm the opposition, but the judge saw right through it. Instead of forcing Justin's team to rush, the court granted them an extra week to dig through every single page. In the legal world, an extra week is a lifetime to find mistakes. Dumping 1,000 pages of material at the last minute usually screams one thing: desperation. People are now looking at Blake's team and wondering if this was a strategic masterstroke, or a sign that they are trying to hide the truth in a mountain of paperwork. By giving Justin Baldoni more time, the judge essentially handed him a magnifying glass to find every hole in Blake's story. It backfired in the worst way possible. Instead of being buried by the data, Justin's team now has the resources to dismantle it piece by piece. This move was supposed to end the fight, but it only gave the other side more ammunition to use. This entire legal spiderweb gets even more tangled when you look at the woman at the center of the PR storm, Stephanie Jones. She was working in the public relations world and was closely connected to Justin Baldoni, but things turned incredibly ugly. Allegations have surfaced that she accessed an employee's phone to get private information that eventually ended up in Blake Lively's hands. This is where that infamous text message about being able to bury anyone actually came from. That one line became the backbone of the narrative against Justin, but now the source of that information is under fire and facing her own massive lawsuit. The judge has ruled that the claims against Stephanie Jones, specifically regarding defamation, are strong enough to proceed to a full trial. This is wild because defamation requires proving that false information was spread with the intent to harm. If Stephanie is being held accountable, it forces a massive question into the spotlight. If Blake Lively has been using this information to claim she was the victim of a smear campaign, she now has to prove that the stories about her were actually false. So far, there is no clear list of false articles being pointed to, leaving her entire defense hanging by a very thin thread. We are entering the most dangerous phase of any legal battle, discovery. This means every text, every phone log, and every private email between Stephanie Jones, Blake Lively's team, and their publicists can be dragged out into the light. If there is anything shady happening behind the scenes, it is about to be exposed to the entire world. You can already feel the panic setting in because Discovery does not care about your brand or your movie's box office numbers. It only cares about the truth. If those private messages reveal a coordinated effort to manufacture a scandal, the fallout will be catastrophic. Both sides are currently trying to spin the latest rulings as a win, which is typical for Hollywood, but the facts tell a different story. Stephanie Jones' lawyer is telling the press this is a victory, yet the most serious claims like defamation and bad faith conduct survived the motion to dismiss. Those are not light accusations that just go away. Meanwhile, headlines are everywhere saying Justin Baldoni just scored a major legal win. For a regular person watching this unfold, it is easy to see why. Every time a judge allows a case to move forward, it means there is enough smoke to suggest a very real fire. Now, let's talk about that witness list, because when it went public, people actually had to pause and read it twice. Blake Lively didn't just list people who were on the set of the movie or directly involved in the production. She came in with over 40 names, and some of them are making legal experts scratch their heads in confusion. Usually you want witnesses who saw the alleged harassment firsthand, like crew members or directors. But when you start seeing names that have nothing to do with the film industry, you have to wonder if this is a legal strategy or just a massive flex of celebrity power. The most shocking name on that list has to be Gigi Hadid. Everyone knows she is close with Blake, but what exactly is she witnessing in a professional harassment case? Was she on set every day? Was she in the production meetings where these alleged incidents took place? If she is only there to talk about things she heard from Blake secondhand, that is not going to hold much weight in a courtroom. Being a witness is about what you personally experienced, not the vibes you get from your best friend. It feels like an attempt to bring star power into a room where only hard facts are supposed to matter. It doesn't stop with supermodels though. The list starts looking more like a family reunion than a legal document. Ryan Reynolds' niece is on there. His mother is on the list. Blake's own sister is listed as a witness as well. You have to sit back and ask how these family members are directly tied to a smear campaign or workplace harassment on a movie set. Unless they were hiding in the trailers, it seems like they are being brought in to testify to Blake's character rather than the actual events. It makes the entire defense feel scattered and desperate, rather than focused and professional. Then we have the legend himself, Hugh Jackman. We all love him, but what does he actually know about the friction between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? Unless everything he knows came from dinner conversations with Blake and Ryan, his testimony might be legally useless. Courts care about first-hand knowledge, not gossip heard over a meal. Including a name as big as Hugh Jackman feels like a move designed to create a certain image in the media. It makes it look like the entire A-list community is backing her up, but in front of a judge, a famous friend is just another person who wasn't there. If those names weren't enough to make you double take, Scooter Braun's name also popped up on the list. That one really had people scratching their heads and theorizing about what is happening behind the curtain. We know he is a titan in the world of crisis management and industry power plays, but was he in the room when these decisions were made? Was he part of the production of the film? Or is his name there simply because it carries a certain weight of authority? When you drop names like this, you risk looking like you are trying to intimidate the other side rather than proving your case. Justin Baldoni's team saw exactly what was happening, and they didn't hold back. They went straight to the judge and argued that this massive late-stage list was simply too much to handle in the allotted time. They claimed they couldn't properly prepare a defense when 40 new names were suddenly thrown into the mix. The fact that the judge agreed and granted the extension is a huge signal. Judges don't just hand out extra time for fun. They do it when they feel like one side is being unfair or excessive. This was a direct rebuke of the tactics being used by Blake's legal team. Now that Justin's team has this extra time, the danger for Blake increases significantly. They can now meticulously go through every single document and every single witness claim to find contradictions. When you provide 1,000 pages of evidence, you are giving the opposition 1,000 opportunities to find a lie. If the witnesses on that list give conflicting stories, the entire case could crumble before it even reaches a jury. This extension might be the very thing that allows the truth to surface, and that is likely the last thing Blake's team wanted when they filed those papers. There is also a huge misunderstanding about why Justin's original lawsuit was dismissed. Many people thought it meant he had no case, but it was actually a technicality involving legal timing. The judge essentially said you can't sue for defamation if the other person filed a harassment claim first, thanks to something called anti-slap laws. These laws are meant to protect people coming forward, but they don't actually prove that the harassment happened. Now that these issues are resurfacing in the Stephanie Jones case, those same questions about the validity of the harassment claims are being asked all over again. The judge's recent comments are the most telling part of this entire saga. By stating that the claims suggesting there was no harassment and no smear campaign are strong enough to move forward, the court is opening a door that was previously slammed shut. This is no longer just celebrity gossip or Twitter rumors. This is a formal legal recognition that the narrative we were told might be completely manufactured. If it turns out that a narrative was pushed knowingly without solid proof, we are looking at a massive case of defamation that could cost millions and ruin reputations. The upcoming court conference is the next big milestone that everyone is watching. This is where both sides will have to stop the PR spin and show their cards. You can feel the momentum shifting away from the polished Hollywood version of the story and towards something much darker and more complicated. The document dump that was supposed to overwhelm Justin Baldoni has instead created a path for him to fight back more effectively. The story we were told when the movie premiered is not holding up under the weight of legal scrutiny, and the public is starting to notice the cracks. As Discovery kicks into high gear, the reality of the situation is going to become impossible to ignore. Every private conversation about how to handle the press and how to frame the narrative is now subject to review. People are starting to ask a very simple but uncomfortable question. How far are these stars willing to go to protect their public image? When the stakes are this high, sometimes the truth gets lost in the pursuit of brand management. But a courtroom is the one place where your brand doesn't matter if the facts don't back it up. There is a growing conversation online about the personality types involved in these kinds of high-stakes power plays. People are looking at how certain individuals operate when they feel their status is threatened. A recent interview with a person diagnosed with a specific personality disorder has gone viral because it describes manipulation in a way that feels eerily familiar to this case. It talks about a lack of remorse and the use of rage and contempt as tools for control. While nobody is officially labeling anyone, the parallels in how narratives are controlled and people are discarded are making everyone very uncomfortable. The legal battle is exposing a side of the industry that most fans never get to see. It is a world of calculated moves, strategic leaks, and the use of powerful friends to silence opposition. But this time, the tactics don't seem to be working. The judge isn't swayed by the celebrity names on the witness list, and the opposition isn't backing down in the face of a 1,000-page document dump. Blake Lively is finding out the hard way that the rules of the courtroom are very different from the rules of a red carpet. The shocking news is just the beginning of a long road to the truth. At the end of the day, this case is about more than just a movie set disagreement. It is about accountability in an industry that often avoids it at all costs. As the layers are peeled back, we have to ask ourselves what we are willing to believe just because a famous face tells us so. The truth is usually found somewhere in the middle, buried under layers of PR and legal filings. But as this case moves forward, those layers are being stripped away one by one. Whatever the light shows when discovery is complete, one thing is certain: the narrative will never be the same again.